What is good, everyone? Welcome into this edition of the Views from the 573 podcast. Hope you guys are doing well as we got some NBA stuff to get to. We got the finals to talk about. We got some draft stuff to talk about. We got some other stuff that's popped up here within the league here. It's been a wild few days, a wild week. And with me to talk about it is you already see he's got the OKC hat on. For the audio listeners, it's our guy Charles Jones. Charles, I know it's been a really fun week for you, my man.
Such,
You're still on cloud nine, aren't you?
oh yeah, such a great week since last Sunday. Such
Oh
a great
man,
week.
oh man. Listen, I bet. I mean, the only championship experience I wouldn't even call it that is when Tennessee football won the championship in '98, and I mean, I don't even remember that. I was three, so, so I don't know. It's like I've come close a couple times. You know, the Titans getting 1 yard short in the Super Bowl against the Rams. You know, literally a yard short away from knowing what that feeling was like. But nah, man, I can only imagine. You know, it just kind of the feeling that this last week has been for you. I mean, it's probably been a whirlwind, and just like thinking back to the road that you've been on as a fan, and thinking about all the
Yes,
highs and the lows and the hardships, and that hey, you're finally here now. You're finally at the top of the mountain.
yeah. As an organization, the Thunder fans, we've really been spoiled. Even though we never won the championship till now, as the Thunder, I also don't count the Supersonics you know, to their franchise, but it's like we've been spoiled because we go from the KD Westbrook Harden era, then we get like a midlife Westbrook PG and Melo era, and then we get the Shea era, which has been the most successful. So we've been
Hmm.
spoiled with great basketball. We've only really ever missed the playoffs 3 times since we've been an organization for the past 18 years. So I'm just grateful and thankful for that. We haven't had to worry about watching a lot of bad basketball. But it feels so good to get over that hump.
Oh yeah.
It feels so good as a fan. And you know how long I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting since they became the Thunder. Because I was like I tell anybody, hey, I've been a Thunder fan through and through. Before anyone joins to say I joined the bandwagon, I was here when KD first came to the Supersonics. So that lets you know how long I've been supporting this team.
Yeah.
That's a very long time ago for any young listeners out there that don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
it's been yeah, I can I mean I think that's the stuff you do when you're not somebody that's been in an organization like, they grab a couple football examples like the Steelers or Cowboys that Cowboys
yeah,
haven't won in a while, but like teams
yeah,
that are consistent with winning titles that like the Patriots. I'll throw the Patriots in there. Where it kind of feels like you don't really kind of think about like the road you've been on. But when you're a team that has like consistently gotten to postseason play, has had to go through these moments of really high highs, and then you've had a couple of those where you miss the playoffs, but to finally get to the mountaintop, it's like it makes you grateful for like all that stuff that you went through to get to this point where now you can say
yeah,
like, hey, we've won. We are champions. Like we're the last team standing, and I'm sure that might put a target on your back for the next season trying to go and defend your title. But it's like, who cares? We're on top of the mountain. We get to celebrate for the whole off season and say we're the champs. So I mean, it really makes you reflect back on those times and on those other runs. But it's also really grateful that you got to this point and that you can say you're a fan of a championship level team that has hoisted a Larry O'Brien trophy. It's again, I don't know what the
yeah.
feeling is like, but I can only imagine again, like it's been like cloud nine. It's just like it's gonna be. I imagine it's gonna be hard to kind of get down from that feeling for a
Oh
while.
yeah, yeah. I've been on a thundercloud. Like I said, I was in military training in the middle of the woods. I was keeping up and watching the games. But I think I think it finally hit me, and my dad called me. He's like, "Hey son," he's just happy. He's like, "Your boys did it. Your boys did it." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I know you." He's like, "I know you're about to celebrate." I was like, "I can't even celebrate how I want to tonight." You know, I said, "Cause to me, I was screamed at the top of my lungs, the OKC Thunder, all through the woods." I probably just been so amped up, but I've been enjoying it. I think I just been enjoying all the hate that we're getting because I like hate comes with the territory when you're great. When you're
Yeah.
great and you become a championship team, everybody tries their best to rip you down. Like we talked about before we started the pod, about that putting the asterisk on the championship.
Hmm.
Saying we got lucky. It's just it's just the amount of excuses everyone comes up with when you're winning. I was like, so this is what Golden State felt like when they were in their dynasty winning. Boston. This is how Boston felt last year, which they definitely had a great chance to go back and repeat again. But it's
Yeah.
you can only play who's in front of you. So I'm just like you say, I'm just super happy we got the win, and now I get to flex the hat all year. Anyone, whatever excuses or opinions anyone has, I'm gonna just be like Oklahoma. You know, we won. Talk
Yeah.
about it next season. Do something about it next season, man.
Oh yeah. It's like it's a win for small market teams too.
Yeah,
Because I
this.
mean, we
Yeah,
talked about before, that these are two really small market teams, and I think that it's a huge dub for them.
yeah. In general, because it seems like I don't know, typical NBA fans. It's just like the world wants to see a big market, and that's not the case. In this finals, even though some of the numbers dropped, because smaller markets, if you actually want to watch good basketball was played. Actually, phenomenal basketball. It ended up turning into a 7 game series, and me and you both, slightly predicted wrong on that.
Yeah.
Even though I said if I saw it going seven, I still believe my Thunder would have won. But just like we can play the what if games, the simple game, you want to be technical about it. We really should have won in five. But they don't get a due diligence in respect to Indiana as a team because Indiana really was a great finals team, great finals opponent.
Oh
Sucks
yeah.
sucks with Hallie. He'll get hurt in that game
Man.
seven. I say I'm always
Yeah.
gonna have to forever hear if Hallie didn't go down because it goes on hypotheticals because everyone assumed that since he started off hot 3 or 4 from the three, they assumed that the game would have ended up being close, or they assumed he would have had a very big game, and it's like that's just like the first quarter. You don't even know he could probably go cold the rest of the game. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
just because they start off hot don't mean they'll finish hot. Like we don't know. It's all hypotheticals. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
man.
I mean, I think I'm thinking back to our predictions. When we talked about when we previewed this. Well, we once again underestimate the Indiana Pacers, and it's something that, that they made this a 7 game series. And when you said five, I said six, I was like, hey, listen, they can make this a 6 game series. And, we felt like they just had more questions. But, time and time again, they kept on proving us and a lot of people that picked this to be a short series wrong and it going to 7 games. Like I said to you, I didn't think we'd see a game seven. I didn't think we'd see an NBA Finals game past my 30th birthday. I didn't think so.
Yeah.
I thought, this thing
uh,
would be wrapped up.
happy belated birthday too again. But yeah.
Man, hey, listen, we're in that unk stage now, where,
Oh
where
yeah, that
I'm
big
I'm
big
thinking
on
about is
status.
like I'm having a trouble. Having a troubling time, kind of thinking like, oh man, players in the 30s now in the NBA are now vets. I'm like, oh man, what does that
Yeah,
say about
we're
us?
we're vested life.
Oh man, oh man. So no, man, I appreciate it, but no, I didn't think we'd get a game after that. I thought this thing would
well,
be wrapped up and
well,
we'd be
well,
good to go. But
generally I look at it like after a loss, which I already knew, like even with the game, how Hallie started off, and I was like, bro, the people not pay attention. The game can be close in the very first two quarters, and Oklahoma can literally blow
Yeah,
you out. They've been doing it all season, so who knows? Who knows? And then the game did ended up being close, and we still blow them out. But my thing was, I didn't think we'll go past that sixth game. I thought we was gonna beat them again in Indiana because we know we had all the momentum. We took a heartbreaking game from them in game four. Now, if we would have went down 3-1, I do think ultimately Indiana would have definitely had the edge. Now, do I believe we could have came back from 3-1? Yes. How the games were going, it's just like we have to pay better attention to what's going on. And like I said, quite frankly, we did not shoot good this series. If we would have shot
yeah,
at least
no,
a fraction of better, the series would have been over too. They were missing a lot of wide open shots throughout the series. As like I said, luckily Lou
yeah,
Dort had his best series of the playoffs. Lou Dort was straight a cannon from outside. Casey Wallace was very inconsistent. I say J Dub. This was one of J Dub better series too. And we know what Shea brought, but Chet was very inconsistent as well. Chet didn't have great finals,
yeah,
but that's
yeah,
beside the point. Like they got plenty of time to improve. But yeah, after we won game 4, and then like I knew we came to Oklahoma, it's gonna be another blowout because at home they're basically almost unbeatable. So even then when we went to Indiana, and it's like we were even up 10. Like we had momentum for a hot while in the beginning. Then they made a surge, and we just never recuperated from it. To me, it felt like when that happened, I was like, how do we come out and play the last two games we don't play it, and then it's just like, let's give
yeah,
up. It's like they played that game 6. They literally played like once the second half rolled over. Once we got down to about 20-point deficit, they ended with 20. I was like, and then I saw how the third quarter went. I was like, these guys basically playing just like, well, we know we got game 7 at home. We got another home game. Indiana can have this. Now let's go stomp them at home. To me,
yeah, yeah,
I'm not gonna say they gave the game up. Like, nah, they know they had to go 7. But it's just like it's a difference in the play. Players, you could be lax, and you can have a bunch of screw ups, and you can look at it like, well, hey, we got another game up under our belt to go. So who knows? But it's kind of a bad philosophy to live by, in my opinion, because it could have went,
yeah.
it could have went south another way, but obviously it didn't. And yeah, I figured we should have ended it back in Indiana, but I was like, since we didn't end there, I said I had no doubt we were gonna win game 7. So I just let's just say I wasn't worried to the point that I probably should have been since we went 7, but it's just because I had so much faith in my Thunder. Like I feel like a lot of times throughout the playoffs they beat themselves, especially in a Denver series. They beat themselves. Denver was a great team, Jokic, and they pushed it to 7, but like realistically, Thunder gave away games just like they did against Indiana. So like a 7-game series, it turned out to be a great 7-game series though.
Yeah. Yeah, like I remember watching game 6 and I kind of felt like, okay, yeah, OKC is fine. They got game 7 on their court and they know they got a good advantage and that they're a team that has barely lost back-to-back games all season long. So the advantage is in their favor.
Yeah,
I still think, back to one of the highlights. Well, I know it's not OKC highlight, but that Halliburton pass of Pascal and just that dunk that he had on Jalen. I mean, it wasn't more. It wasn't the dunk. I think it was just like the sequence. Like you got 3 star players, including that, which I think that's just like that's what you want in a finals game in
yeah,
high intensity environment. But yeah, I mean, listen, game 7, like we always hear it in sports, game 7, two of the most magical, exciting work in sports. It feels like unless your team is playing, then you're stressed out and you're just like,
yeah. You just
but,
ready for
but,
it to
but,
be over with too.
right, because you don't know what's going to happen in a game 7 where like anything can go. And
Yeah,
there's finality to it. So like whatever you do on the court, that's final. Like the season's done after that. There's no next game. So it's just like the stress and the magnitude of a game 7s and just the excitement because of that finality, because this is it. Um, so I feel like, heading into game 7, even though there's, with OKC and them not losing back to backs and them having that at home, me as a fan, I probably would have been a little bit worried, but that's just me and my fandoms because I don't trust my teams.
See,
Because like, listen,
I'm different
if the Grizz
because
are in a situation like that, I'm just like, I'm excited, but I'm just like, my stress level is at 11 out of 10. You know?
hey Thunder, we had some very stressful games, but like I had complete trust in the team because I seen what they were doing all year, and I just knew that they had the pieces to beat any team in the series. But mainly, I know one thing: even if the offense isn't going like all year, they won games off defense alone. So when they had bad shooting games, they'll still be in games. So I just be looking like Indiana been getting some. They've been scraping by with some luck. Cause I just look at how many times players miss open shots when they double shade or double dub, get the pass out of player misses, just clanks a wide open shot and be like, oh my goodness. Case and Wallace had a very terrible, shooting series.
Yeah, he did.
He did not shoot
Mm.
good the finals. He was a big piece. Like I say, Isaiah Joe just didn't. He didn't get to play as much time as I thought he was going to be playing, but also he just went shooting the ball in when he was good on the court. He didn't have too many good shots going in, so it's just like one of them years. Once again, we won the chip, and they probably had some of the worst shooting splits throughout the playoffs. Definitely in the finals, though.
Yeah. But this is also another thing we talked about pre-show. And we talked about this a couple times too earlier. Like this is going to be the worst version of this Oklahoma City team with this group right here, with this core group of guys that you have, and that's kind of a scary thought considering how good y'all are right now. But also just like taking a look at next year because you got Indiana, who we thought, before the Halliburton injury, like, hey, listen,
They aren't
they've
going
done this
anywhere.
twice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that they weren't going anywhere, and then that injury happened. You get now got Boston with the stuff they're going through, them trading some guys. And you got whatever's going out east, and you're like, okay, who's going to be contending there? Is it going to be the Knicks, Bucks, Heat,
I
Magic
feel.
with the moves they made,
Well,
and
the
then
bus. I say the bus gonna be down because Dame is gone.
and that's another,
So,
yeah, that's
so I looked like
another injury.
I looked at those three teams and I'm like, those teams are out the way. And if they make the finals, probably any team that probably come out the West would beat them. I would highly be surprised if Dallas. I mean, I said Dallas. I would be highly surprised if Boston or Indiana made the finals again next year. Because
Yeah,
Hallie is so crucial to how they move the ball and push the pace. And then we know how crucial Tatum is to the Celtics. And then
yeah,
obviously no Dame. We'll get Golly Giannis stats, but that's about all he gonna get. Because now he's Kyle Kuzma is basically his second best player. Yeah, you're not winning the ring anytime coming if Kyle Kuzma is your second best player. And then like after that, like I say, my mind is leaning toward. I'm already leaning toward New York and Oklahoma City again next year, unless something crazy happens the off season that kind of skews me. But even then, I just feel like we're built to compete with any type of team. We literally are. Defensively, even like I said, I feel pressure get better, but looking at the East, like right now, I got New York. You can throw Detroit up there.
yeah. That's the other thing.
Orlando gonna be a fun team. They'll be drastically better, especially and Bane. I don't think Bane
Yeah,
was shooting nearly as bad as KCP did for the Magic these past 2 years. He just has been abysmal for them. Um,
Cavs.
yeah,
That's the other thing.
Cavs will be right back, but I think I'm leaning toward the Knicks over them until they show us otherwise, because that's gonna be on them. And they can have the injuries this year, but it's like next year y'all better get it done, especially coming back with the same team basically. And then it's
Yeah,
their first
yeah,
year. It was their first year under their coach. I can't even think of his name right now, but it was their first year under him, so they'll get grace too. So basically, we got the Cavs, the Knicks, and now looking at it
mm,
now, those like the only true contenders. We'll see if Philly can stay healthy. That's the only thing with
yeah.
Philly.
Yeah,
So that's why
that's
I want to throw them in
yeah.
the mix because we just don't know.
No, we don't. Just like I'm looking at that next year, and I'm looking at the West too. I'm just like, y'all are really set up for next year because I mean the West. I mean it's always going to be a bloodbath. It's always going to get
Yeah.
good. You know, all the good players are going to go there. But I
I,
mean, it
I was
with the
playing,
guys you're bringing back,
so
and then
I
the
was playing
East.
two. Yeah. I,
So
earlier I was playing 2K and I was running one of my guys and he thinks our championship. He was like, yeah, he's like, you can't take it away. You're happy the Thunder got their championship, but he said he believes this will be the only one we'll get. He doesn't see us becoming a dynasty, even if injuries aren't involved. And then he was like, in the West, we won't make it out again. And I was like, so what teams really are going to compete? Because Golden State is stuck where they're at. They really can't get
mm,
drastically better. Like because their main two pieces are tied up with Steph and Jimmy and Draymond's contract. So Golden State is stuck unless they can trade Kuminga off, and then Kuminga is basically a restricted free agent this year. So if someone does
yeah,
throw a good offer for him, Kuminga is gone. So I feel like Golden State can't get any better than what they are. Just try to run it back and see how far you go with it. Steph being healthy. Minnesota, I feel like they're right there because they made the conference finals twice in a row, just like Indiana did. But it's like their roster is pretty much stuck where it's stuck at unless they make some trades. But we know for a fact Randall and are stuck there. And Nas Reed is planning on signing another long-term deal unless they can trade him for some pieces, which
yeah,
I doubt. So Minnesota is basically the same team, and I feel like as currently constructed, we can beat them at Golden State. Lakers, depending on what the Lakers do, I still feel like we could have beat the Lakers whether we're gonna match up with them or not. All that Lakers in five is mute because even though basketball is about matchups, like we basically demolished the team that basically demolished them in the way, so to speak. And I feel like we match up even better with the Lakers than we will match up with Minnesota, where it's on paper or not. And then another thing I look at is outside that, yes, Rockets, Houston guys, KD, he brings a big scoring punch, but it's gonna be a work in progress. I don't expect them to win a
yeah,
championship next year. And Denver is always gonna be there, but Denver clearly has some more questions to pan out. Who knows even if MPJ would be there this year? Do they trade to, get some depth to go around Jokic? Because Denver was missing the bench this year in the playoffs anyway. So and
yeah.
The
Big time.
Clippers are basically stuck where they're stuck at. So not many teams in the West can actually truly get better. Is what I'm getting at. And like I say, in the 7 game series against the Thunder is currently constructed, and with players
Tough.
coming back getting better, I just see us coming out the West again. And like you say, there's nobody in the East that I'm looking at as a challenge. We'll see what next year brings. But as constructed, like I still feel like my Thunder can repeat. Hopefully, just no injuries.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the odds. I haven't seen the odds for next year, but I feel like the odds for y'all are just like through the roof.
Yeah,
Just
well,
like
they're already
yeah,
they already the favorite to win the championship. Usually, we know that's how it works, anyways. Where their team win the chip, majority of the
yeah,
time. But like, they're like a huge favorite for 2026 already.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it feels like next year. It just feels like it's set up for another type of run right there to get to the finals and be playing in June, bearing any kind of injuries. But nah, man, I'm happy for you. Um, I hate that we were part of the teams that got sniped by y'all to get to the championship. But
Yeah,
hey, you and I wouldn't have had it any other way, you know to try to get the championship because I mean you and I talked over the years and like we're we love our teams. We're a champion for our small market teams. So like I know we wouldn't have had it any other way, but nah, man, I'm happy to see you celebrating this dub. I know you're excited along with all the other OKC fans. So no, man, I'm happy for you, and I know you're excited to keep on celebrating here
oh
throughout this
yeah,
all season.
oh yeah, that's for sure,
Yeah.
Rhino.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about some of these. We talked about some of these moves that some of these teams have already made. Um, we had two big trades go down in between all this. With the finals going on, we had Bane getting traded. You had KD getting traded. The Bane one was out of left field because it's just like 9, 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. It's like you get the Shams notification, like hey, come on, Shams, it's Sunday morning, you know. But it's just I guess we can start with that one since it's a nice segue to talking about our teams. But um, I mean, yeah, that one kind of it kind of shocked me initially, but I kind of understood it because they're selling high. But also that game three that I was at and seeing them play, Bane was not great in that game. He was not shooting the ball well. So I think it's kind of like, and you and I messaged about it afterwards. It feels like they are moving towards a model now where we're seeing you got your two stars in John Jaren, and then you're gonna build around them with high level 3 and D role players that can defend and make shots and that can switch and that can be all on the court at the same time. It feels like that is what they're going at with this group. So it made sense to sell high for Bane and you get 4 first round picks for him back. Now, again, some of those picks, we don't know what the future's gonna hold. Some of those picks might be lower, some might be higher. That
Hey, hey,
Phoenix pick for next year looks
yeah,
it looks pretty doggone good right now. Um, but I think it's a scenario in which I think you take a look at. Listen, you lose Bane, that's a huge loss because he's a good shooter, but he's also the wingspan is an issue. He doesn't cover up for Ja's defense on the other end.
yeah,
So I think it makes sense for both these teams. You get high quality assets back. You already use a couple of them in the draft to move on up. So it made sense. And then for Orlando, it also made sense because they're in a win now space with Paolo, with Franz, with Suggs, with Wendell Carter, with those guys. You get a guy like Bane. And we talked about, the Magic really kind of needing that spacing to help those guys out. And Bane is the ultimate guy to kind of help out with that spacing, considering that guy can shoot the lights out of a gym, fly by king. Um, I will tell you the one thing I'm gonna miss is the whole, because his last name is Bane, and I'm gonna miss just having missing the Bane jokes, with Batman, man. I'm gonna miss having those because those are so much fun when he got added on. Um, so Orlando's gonna have a lot of fun with those, but. I think it's a case that it's a win for both teams. Memphis gets back, gets assets back, and they get to kind of tool this team around Ja and Jaren. Hopefully, they get that two-man game going. And then Orlando gets a piece to add to their potentially title building hopes and getting
yeah.
that ultimate shooter that they need around their two stars.
That's that's like I say, that's a to me that's more of a big pickup for Orlando because you finally get some shooting to go around Paolo and France and France. That's like you say, win-win, but I feel some. I lean towards more Orlando actually won that trade because they got a big need. Like I said, KCP was very underwhelming for them, and Bane makes
Yeah.
up all the difference, versus KCP. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think the hope is KCP. It was just a down year for him. I think that's the hope. And
yeah,
he does add something that they need. It's like a veteran type of guy to be in the locker room who's won championships, been around good players. Um, I think that helps. So, but I think in the end, both teams did win, but I'm kind of on the side. Like, if I had to say Orlando won at 51-49, I think that
yeah,
I think that's how I would come out as. They won it, but I think, Memphis was fine with getting the assets they did because, yeah, those are first round picks that you can use, and they did just use one of them in the draft on Wednesday night to get a guy that I really like. But I think that's going to be key for them because I think they see, that they see a window here in the East where you see, Boston making the moves they are. You see what happened, and this is after they made the trade, but you see what happened with Indiana. You see these other teams. You don't know what Philly's going to be. I think they see a window of opportunity here with Paolo, with Franz, with those guys, and they're like, hey, we have a chance to add a guy that can go and just be the floor spacer we need, and they took the opportunity. Uh, and yeah, it's for a guy that hasn't made an all-star team, but as a guy that is a fringe type of guy, um, that you can that he can put up points and and buckets in bunches really
Yeah.
quick. So I don't know. I think it's also for the Memphis standpoint. It's like you view it as kind of like a Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum type of scenario where you take a look at that backcourt and like they were good, but they were small, and
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of case in there. So no, Orlando. I mean, I'm excited to see what Bane looks like with them in season and get that thing going. That's
Oh yeah. They're gonna be
that's gonna be
fun. They're
fun.
gonna be fun to watch because they were already fun. They just got hit with a lot of injuries.
Yeah,
I feel like they would have been better. Jalen Suggs was big for him. Him being out was a real big factor for him. But you got Suggs, Bane, Paolo, France, and I'm missing the third. I want to say Jonathan Isaac as the starters, but I could be
yeah.
wrong.
I didn't even mention Isaac.
Or
Yeah,
no, a window Carter because they need a
yeah.
center.
Wendell's
Yeah,
the other.
and then Goga Batase off the bench, which I think Goga could usurp that starting spot because Goga is just that good. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
but
pretty good team, especially out east.
oh yeah. Well,
And
like I'm excited. They're a team that I think a lot of people are excited to
with
watch
not
on League
being,
Pass.
then I was gonna say not being so sure of what can happen in the east. Who knows? They could get hot at the right moment and make like an Indiana run because it
Yeah, exactly.
looks like all they're gonna have to deal with is New York at the moment. Because like we don't know what's going on with Miami. Miami's out there, but like we already covered the other three teams as well as Philly. We don't even know if Philly will be healthy throughout the season, so we don't know. But yeah, really that they could be a sleeper team. You know what? I'm gonna call it right now. They'll be my dark horse, unless they start out going crazy throughout the beginning of the season, which I wouldn't be surprised, especially playing in the
Yeah.
East.
No, man. Hey, call your shot. I mean, I think that's a really good pick for a dark horse. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see that as a lot of people's dark horse to make it out of the East and into the finals, or make it to the finals in general. I think I think because Paolo, he's reaching that superstardom level.
Oh yeah,
Franz,
Paolo's nice.
Franz is a guy that, like, I remember seeing Paolo play. Well, I saw the Magic here. Was it this year? It was either this year or last year. I remember seeing him play, and he got into foul trouble a little bit quickly. But like the man started to heat up, and it's just like this guy is just like he's a bucket getter. So
At 6'10" too,
I
great
mean.
size. Great size.
I mean, great size. A guy that can get buckets like that at 6'8", 6'9", and those guys are hard to find. If you get one, hold on to them for dear life because they don't grow on trees, man. Like it's tough, but no, I think they're definitely going to be a team to watch out. Um, East, like you, I think they're a team to. Wouldn't be surprised to see them playing. Making it run to the East Finals for sure. And then the KD trade. Because I mean, so we can cross off the KD trade happening for the Grizzlies. I don't know. I don't know if I'm too hurt about it or not, but listen, he's going to Houston, which I kind of like because I mean Texas is where he started his career, and I
Yeah,
kind of like
he
um,
loves Texas like
home.
a second home for him.
It is. It's like a second home to him. He's going to a team that I mean, you take a look at them. They need a score out there, a consistent score out there, and Jalen Green is good. He's just a little bit too inconsistent, and so he goes to Phoenix. I don't know. How do you think about we've already kind of talked a little bit about it for Houston, and I'm kind of the same boat as you. Like, I think they'll be good, but I don't know if they're going to be championship level. Getting to the finals this year type of good. How do you make of this move for Phoenix? Adding Jalen Green when you already got, Booker in there and you got Bill in there.
And
How are you
Bill.
feeling about this return for Phoenix? Do you think they could have gotten a little bit more, or is this kind of like this is what you're going to get regardless?
Well, I think it might have been what you could get, but assuming any trade with Houston, you think Jalen Green would have to be just to move that needle because he's a young player, plenty of time to develop and get better. And like last year was his first showing in the playoffs. He's young, so in a sense, it's looking
Mm,
like man, the Rockets didn't give him any time. You know what I mean? He was just drafted in Yeah, last year was his second year, right? Or
Second
third
or
year.
third? I think third. I think third. I think
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like he's still relatively so young, man. It's like Houston could have just let him develop a little bit more and run it back. But I guess they see now that they feel like an opportunity is opening for a window. So hey, we made it to playoffs. We got what we needed. We had a sacrificial limb. That's kind of what my Thunder did. Made it to the playoffs for that first stint with everybody healthy and
Yeah.
seeing what we were missing against Dallas last year. So whatever, if we ended up losing the series, we can see what we need to go get. I allow you trade away Giddy, another young player who hasn't been in the league that long. He kind of pushing the man
Hmm.
because he's inconsistent, not the best shooter still yet, but a great facilitator and floor raiser in my opinion. But it's like we traded him away and then we went and got Hardenstein. So I feel I feel like Houston seen what they needed and they went and got it. They needed some more scoring because the crunch time of those games, outside of the Jalen Green superstar game, other than that, they didn't have a closer, a guy to go just get a ball to go get a bucket.
Yeah.
Our offense getting stagnant. Hey, just put the ball in the bucket for us for a few possessions. Let's run some plays
Yeah.
for this guy. And like I say that they addressed a big one, but then again, I felt like their defense is still great. Now it's just to me, if their defense would drop off compared to last season, but they lost Dylan Brooks. No matter how people and players feel about Dylan Brooks is still a dog, man. On the defensive end, and he's just improving his offensive repertoire every year. He's getting better and better. So I mean, they're in that win now stage, man. They didn't give at least they didn't give up a lot for KD because what the haul that they got back for KD, it's not bad at all in my opinion for Phoenix. Like I say, we know Jalen Green is a young guy. Who knows if Bill will probably unwaive his no player clause and probably get traded where he wants. They'll find a trade for him and bring in more pieces. It's just like if they
Yeah.
do something like that, like are we done with Booker and just going strictly around Jalen Green? I mean, those are questions Phoenix will have to answer. But I
Yeah.
feel
I
like the
mean, in which
trade,
case Booker could be a domino. That could be a domino to watch. If they
yeah,
feel
that
like
too.
that's the case, and that can change the team because Booker's
Yeah,
legit.
yeah, Booker. Yeah, yeah. I'll just say Booker can make a team into a contender because he's that good around the right team with the right pieces. So yeah, that's one. But
Yeah. It's kind of I think one thing that everybody's mentioned. Houston has some of Phoenix's first round picks. I think everybody's saying like, well, why didn't you get some of those back? So I think Houston is actually glad that they didn't have to really trade any of those first round picks back to Phoenix in this type of
see, I
deal.
didn't, I
But
didn't even think about that.
uh,
So they're saving draft
yeah,
capital.
like big time because I mean you don't know how Phoenix is going to be. So I mean, let's for a guy that is while Katie is still good, still an elite scorer. He is 36, 37. So he's a little bit on up there. Man, it feels strange to say he's on up there. Oh man, yeah. Going back to that Unk thing that we were talking about, man. These guys that a few years older than us, they're the vets now. Oh man. Um,
Yeah,
I
thanks.
told you, man. I've been contemplating it, and like here he goes again.
Well, we're
um,
coming to an end of an era because and let's say
yeah,
five, six,
man.
let's say in 7 more years, LeBron won't be in the league. Depending on KD and Steph playing 20 plus years, they won't be in the league. Same thing, Westbrook, Harden, Kawhi. That era that we grew up watching in high school, basically, it's basically almost gone. It's almost done because the league is basically younger now.
Yeah.
Like the Thunder, like
Ugh.
that's what makes it so crazy with Oklahoma winning this championship. So stats that blows my mind are we're the second youngest team ever to win the chip. Two, the average age is 24. Like I say, everybody's still under 30 except Alex Caruso. That's like and listen,
Yeah.
we're so ahead of schedule. Like we're not supposed to win being this young. This is legit Chet's. This is basically Chet's sophomore year, even though it's his third year total. It's his sophomore year because last year was technically his
Yeah,
rookie year because he was hurt and missed his whole rookie season. And then this was J Dub's third year as well. And then the thing about Chet, one thing I have been seeing is like, is Chet already injury prone? Because another argument I saw, he didn't get the chance to have a lot of reps up under his belt this year because he missed 50 some games out the season. So it's like Chet probably would have been significantly better if he actually was able to get all the reps in that he needed to
yeah,
for a
yeah,
full
yeah,
season.
for sure. Yeah,
But that's why I say these players gonna keep learning and growing. But that's just scary to think about. And another interesting stat is, I was looking at it right now. I said this is also crazy for, once again, to the doubters. They're calling it an asterisk or a fake ring. It's like they beat 4 top 10 offenses in the playoffs. Let that sink in. It just goes to show how historic the defense is, and that's what makes them a historic team. They're also, because the other day I think ESPN had a segment on it, and they were saying that, was this Thunder team like an all-time great team? They were saying they're not, because
yeah,
they have to win more rings, but this was an all-time season, right? Because they're a historic defense by far, like historic defense, and they were a top 5 offense as well. So that offense bowling with that one of the, basically the second best, really the first best defense of all time outside of Mike's Bulls, and that's only because the Bulls beat them in like the point differential a game. But all the other stats, Thunder were first in. I was like, that's crazy to think about, man. Like how good and how historic this defense was. So it's like
it,
them being this young and a historic team already is crazy to think about. And winning the
yeah,
championship. And they're so young that, one, they're not going anywhere. Two, we know Chet and J Dub are at least under their contracts for another 2 years. So they can win another 2 rings, and then, just hypothetically, they can win some more championships, at least another championship in the next 2 years. And then they have to decide how they want to sign players, but they got so much draft capital, and the contracts they had players signed to, like, I believe they got Jay Will. They just signed him to a $24 million contract for 3 years. They could use
yeah,
that to trade over
yep,
just to make up some roster spot. Hardenstein has a contract that can be traded in the future. Same thing with Caruso. It's like they have stuff to trade over just to make room for the money, and then they have enough draft capital to keep drafting top quality guys. They can come in and contribute right away. Like I say, this
oh
team is
yeah,
really this
yeah.
this team is really loaded, and I say it's not a stretch to say we could be running things into the 2030s. It's really not. Like,
Hey man, hey man, wait on us, man. Wait on us to get there, man. Wait on our dude that we took out 11 to get on up there. Yeah, wait on us, man. We gonna get
probably,
that series that we should have gotten this year.
look, probably get some good Thunder and Grizzlies conference finals again.
Bro, that's the only thing that we missed from this run. That's the only thing. Would I have been heartbroken? Yeah. Would I still have enjoyed it? Absolutely. Because I know we would have gotten some great games out of that series.
No, like
So,
like for sure. Although I do say, maybe if Ja don't go down, y'all probably do win game 3 in blowout fashion. But like you said all year, we always perform extremely well after losses, and especially blowout
yeah.
losses, because it's like they hold something against them. When you're able to blow them out, they lose in the stinker. They really think hard about that. Lou Dort, I think he said that in one of the interviews. Half of the time through the season, even in the playoffs, like after they got blasted by Minnesota, he was very adamant that, oh yeah, we pay attention to everything we did wrong. We pay attention to how we got routed. He said no one likes that. It's embarrassing on national TV. Now they had
Yeah.
some very bad, embarrassing losses. Just like when you beat them, I feel like when a team is able to blow Oklahoma out and beat them give them a good BTA. We all know what that means, by the way. But they get a good BTA. It's like everyone, like the media, just gets hyped and like, oh, they finally figured it out. Just to be like, nah, y'all just woke the Thunder up. That's the wake up call they needed. I really felt that way. Seem like every
Yeah.
time they get a blowout loss or a loss to Germany, they can always come out and respond well. Like I say,
Yeah.
Game Seven,
I just
Hallie was
it
it started off close. That don't mean it would have ended close
yeah.
just because Hallie hit three
No.
threes out of four. And then like, it was like Hallie was hitting the threes that need to be hit at that moment because if he misses either a fraction of them, Oklahoma's already up in the game by 7 or 8 points. Like if you look back at it, those was, and one of them was like a deep when he hit that, like it was like a deep three that he hit. He hit one deep three. I'm
Mm,
like, you gotta live with that. And then there's another one at the end of the shot clock. He gets that was like super deep, and Lou kind of contested it, and he made that all net. I was like, okay. I was like, I can't be mad. Those are tough shots. Dude, I expect Halle
yeah.
to keep hitting them, especially with a hand coming at his face flying at him. No.
No,
Like I don't
no,
think
it's
it would
gonna
have
be tough.
lasted through a whole game. And then on the other end, on the offensive end, J Dub and Chet and Shea would have definitely been hunting him and putting him in actions to where he had to work. So I just feel like that game would have probably turned into a blowout. We'll never know, but it's like Thunder, especially at the blowout wins, they always respond with a knockout punch of their own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that this whole conversation going back around started with talking about KD and getting old. That's how we got onto this, man.
Oh yeah,
That's how we got on this. We got back to talking about the finals again because we were talking about, man, we getting on up there and these guys are going to be done. But I
yeah,
will tell you this, and then I think we can go and talk about the draft a little bit. I
yeah,
did see, um, I did see something where I think like Paul George is the only player left in the 2010 draft that's still playing. And
yeah.
what's
He
even
is.
crazier, I think I forget if he was in this draft, but I saw where Avery Bradley is working in the Jazz front office. I'm just like, hold on, that's not the same Avery Bradley, is it? Like, sure enough, it is. I'm like, what in the world? So
That's crazy. It's
he's
crazy to
in the
think
front
about.
office. It's crazy. And then I was also thinking, because this is KD specific right here, but um, that 2007 draft. You take a look at four of the top five picks are still in the league. Like Jeff Green is still in the league, but he ain't playing. But you got him in there. You got Al Horford in here, Mike Conley, KD. They're all still playing in the league. So I thought that's kind of like unique that in a draft that was at this point like 18 years ago, four of the top five guys are still in the league playing,
That is pretty. That is pretty unique.
and playing meaningful basketball.
Yeah,
That
that
too.
too. I
That's
just to
even
say,
crazier.
meaningful winning basketball or playing for contenders and actually contributing. Even though I wonder will Al Horford be out here in another year or two because I know he's playing this next season, but it's something to look at too.
Yeah, and I don't know where Conley is at. I'm at the point where like, man, just go on ahead and retire. Let's raise that last jersey up, man. Let's get that going so we can have the four green grind players jerseys up there, man.
He comes back to
Let's just get
Memphis
on up there.
to retire. Hey, my Thunder would take him. At least he could, come on the bench, be a good contributor.
Ah,
But
man, I don't know. I don't know.
well, that wouldn't even be
That might
that wouldn't
hurt.
even be a yeah, that wouldn't even but that wouldn't even be a I don't even think it'd be a chance for him to even that wouldn't even be a thing because I lied, we had Nikola Topic. And I've been warning people, I've been
Yeah,
saying we basically got Luca light. Basically to me he's another Luca. Just lacks that Shun touch, but like I say, the Shun coach for the Thunder, he's phenomenal. And he turns the worst shooters into knockdown shooters. So and Topic, she's already been improving his shot from like the past workout videos I've been seeing. That shot that you could tell his shot is different from where it was last year when he was playing in overseas in the Euro leagues and different stuff like that. You can see a total
yeah,
difference in his shot now. So if he's already improved in the off season where he didn't have anything to do but work yourself back from an ACL tear, because like the ball like you and passing this, that's things that like you can try to teach, but ultimately you just gotta be gifted enough to be able to understand that and have it. Topic is one of them
exactly.
guys.
Yeah,
And I say he's going to be perfect, whether he's coming off the bench or starting. He'll be off the bench more than likely, anyways. But he'll be perfect. He'll be perfect to be that second playmaker to take pressure off Shea and Dub. Like legit, because
yeah,
if you could say it's the one weakness of the Thunder, you can look at two weaknesses. You could look at probably needing a few bigger defenders on the wings, so won't have so many guards hopping the guard up and keep playing tough defense on taller defenders, but also, they could use another playmaker because Shea has improved, but you still saw some flaws in there where sometimes double teams get to him zones. Same thing with J Dub. I feel like Topic under pressure, he's just better at managing and handling the ball because he basically a pure point guard. He's also 6'6", 6'5",
Yeah.
6'6". Can definitely get to his spots on the floor, finish around the rim, and like say, great passer. Only thing that really was, really that you could see was helping him was, like I say, was his shooting touch. And then defensively, if he's going to be on the floor, he's going to have to be able to play a lick of defense. That's by far.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, if there's anything we saw from your team this year, he's going to have to play some defense, man.
oh
But
yeah,
hey, I'm sure that they're going to get on to him for that. They're going to get on to him for that for sure because you got those dogs in that locker room that played that type of defense. They're like, hey, we going to need you to play defense. We love your offense. We love your playmaking ability, but it starts at that other end. Like we gonna expect you to bring that same intensity on over, man.
yeah.
So I mean, he's gonna be held in check for sure, for sure. I mean, as a young guy in general, they're gonna hold him in check, but when it comes to that end, there definitely are because that's what this championship was built on was that defense. They're like, hey, you got to lock in on that side, man.
Well, anytime you got players getting mad, genuinely mad because they talk about it in practice like Dort guards everyone on team, and Dort loves Shy, but Dort is a defender that he hates getting scored on. He openly says in the interviews like he hates when you score on him. He feels like if you score on him, he didn't do a good enough job. I'm like, Lou, there's one game I think he played against KD and the Suns, and he was talking about it. He kind of hate KD made a really, really like a super tough contested shot. I was like, if KD was short, Dort would have got a blocker off of that shot entirely. KD shot over the top. It's one of those Laker ones that went in all net too. And Dort was like, he knows it's KD, but Dort was like, I could have played better defense. I'm like, Dort, he's 7 foot. There's nothing literally you could have did. You played picture perfect defense. I like it happens, man. Like there's legit
Yeah,
nothing now. I say teams better be glad Luke Dort is in a 6'7", a 6'8" wing. Not like seriously, that would be a problem even for like the biggest,
Woo.
even for like the bigger wings. Like he would be a serious problem because you can't
Oh,
bully him with his body type. But imagine him being 3 to 4 inches taller because he's like 6'4",
oh my
6'5".
goodness, no.
But like imagine Luke Dort 6'7" or 6'8", Rhino. That is trouble.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to, man. Because I know what he's like already at 6'4". I don't need to imagine him at 6'8". That's already a nightmare. you know? No, man. Um, no,
The
I
Dortmund
think
chamber.
that's something to keep an eye on. I think with you guys, but nah, man, I don't know if I want you guys to get Conley. It just be like it'd be like that Wesley Snipes. I think that's who it is. That Wesley Snipes gif of like him holding the gun and he's got tears rolling down his face. Just like, nah, man.
Yeah.
Listen, like I was already like that when he was on the Jazz, and I got to see him take my guys out in a playoff game.
Yeah.
I don't need that to happen twice.
Yeah, that's actually true. That's very true.
And like nah, just go, just stay with Minnesota and just do your thing or just call it a career. I don't care.
I think that would hurt you to a core to see him just. You'll be happy for him, but it hurt you. Be like, man, say you go to the Thunder, we repeat with him on the team, and you'll just be like,
I mean,
you'll be happy your boy
I
got a
mean, I,
ring. That's how I'm feeling for Westbrook. Like,
yeah,
I would want Westbrook and
yeah,
Harden to at least come back to Oklahoma or anywhere they go. I would love to see them just get a ring. They don't have to be the best players. We know what kind of players they were in their heyday. Like, they just deserve to go out with a ring. No AIs to Charles Barkley.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd be happy, but I'd immediately be like, man, he. I immediately just that second realization is like, I'm happy for him, but it's like, man, I hate you had to do this to get this ring. Especially if y'all had to go through Memphis again, especially if that had to happen, I would just be like, man, Conley had to go ahead and kill us again, didn't he? And
let's say
at
let's
that point,
say
I just be like, man, just retire, just retire.
a couple of key pieces injured for the Thunder. If we got to depend on Conley, he takes the wide open shots and hits it to eliminate the Grizzlies or cost them a game.
Oh man.
That would be heartbreak.
Oh
That
man.
would be
Man,
pain.
if he turned into that Mike Conley that I saw compete tack for tack with Kawhi Leonard in a playoff game, if I saw that, I'd be like, man, Mike, why'd you have to do it? I was already happy to see it once. I didn't want to see it again. The only way I'd want to see it again is if it was in the Grizzlies jersey. Not like this, Mike.
That actually makes it. That would be tough. It'd be like, oh my goodness.
No, no, that's the worst case scenario right there. All right,
What?
man. Let's talk about the draft. A little bit here. Um, listen, we've already talked about Cooper Flag a little bit, like what he would be, going to Dallas. So that's locked in. We already know, what he's going to be like in Dallas. Like it feels like that's going to be a good place for him to end up going. Dylan Harper going to San Antonio, I think is we talked about that a little bit too. I think it's just like, the whole it feels like De'Aaron Fox might eventually be that guy that ends up being the odd man out because you got him, you got Castle, you now add Harper to that group, guys that are still working on their shooting. It feels like I don't know. Minutes are going to be hard to come by with those three, but I mean he is going to be, I
Well,
think,
I
for
say
San
we know
Antonio.
Fox. I was gonna say we know Fox gonna be starting regardless. It'd probably be him, Council,
Yeah,
maybe CP3 off the bench, or no, depending on how they run it, Sohan and then Wemby. So
yeah. Sohan's another guy that has trouble shooting. I
and
just thought
then
about that. Yeah,
yeah, then you have Vassell. Maybe they move Vassell to the bench or keep him
yeah.
in starting,
Him
but
or
you're gonna have to have some
KJ.
shooting around Wemby. We know
Yeah, yeah,
Fox is
yeah.
improved, but he's just not a super knockdown shooter. And then like you say, Council and I don't know Harper can really shoot the ball as well, but like I said, they got to work
No,
on shooting. They're gonna have to have some type of shooting in the starting lineup at least.
yeah, yeah, they're going to have some type of shooting, but I mean, I think just his level of playmaking, he's going to add a whole lot there. So, it's an exciting backcourt for San Antonio. It is exciting backcourt. You got Castle, who won Rookie of the Year, had an exciting year. Then you got Harper coming in, and you're excited about him. So I think you're excited about that. Philly goes with Edgecombe at three. It felt like this was a guy that was going to end up going to Philly, regardless. A guy that can shoot. Talking about exciting backcourts, him and Maxi, in the future should be exciting because this is a guy that can jump a little bit too. But I'm really curious. I mean, no, just honestly, what Philly's whole strategy is going forward. Where you're now in this kind of weird era with Embiid. He's getting on up there. He's like 30 or so, and got all these injuries. It's just like, kind of like, what is Philly going to do here? But you got three exciting players with Edgecombe now and Maxey, and also McCain too. Didn't even mention him. You know,
Yeah,
he got hot last year. So, um, yeah, man, I just don't know what Philly's kind of what the goal is now for Philly and that group going forward. But honestly, looking at four and everything else, um, Knuppel going to Charlotte. There's a lot of offense there, not a whole lot of defense, I think, and also the talk of the draft, Ace Bailey going to Utah. Um, like, listen, man, I know I think I applaud Danny Ainge for saying like, this is a high upside pick to bring him into Utah, and even though he didn't go in and work out for them, I think this is a really nice upside pick. Like if he hits, like again, we just talked about how hard it is to find 6'8", 6'9" wings that can go and put the ball in the bucket. You
yeah,
draft one here potentially at 5, you're golden here. And like we talked about, Utah, losing out in the draft lottery here, it worked out for you because you got one of the best players in this draft, one of the highest upside players in this draft to go to your organization. And for a city like Utah, it's really hard for you to get a guy like that. But then you just roll through some of the other picks. Trey Johnson going to Washington. I kind of like that. Is a guy that from Texas. That can really put the ball in the bucket. And they made the Jordan Poole trade, which New Orleans gets so much. I'll be honest, Charles. I don't know. I don't know what New Orleans is doing at all. Too,
Yeah, I think
because
they just traded for Poole to have some scoring since DeJounte Murray
yeah,
will probably he'll probably be out a majority of the season as well. So that
yeah, and they trade CJ, and I just don't know. And they also trade that unprotected first to get Derek Queen, which
yeah,
I don't.
I
I'm not
really
too
think
huge of a fan of.
yeah, I really think they're getting to the point where they'll be trading just Zion too, just to make space and probably going
Yeah,
to a super duper rebuild. The feel that's what the way it seems like it's gonna be going.
yeah. I'm getting that feeling too. I feel like Derek Queen has that same type of profile that Zion has, where it feels like it's kind of redundant. I think if a Zion trade happens, if we see the headline, I don't think either of us are going to be surprised. It's like, yep, there it
Not at
is. Yeah,
all.
I think the surprise will be like where he ends up. I think that'll be the main surprise. It's just like it won't be like if he gets traded, but like where he gets traded to.
Zion Wilson
But
traded to the Thunder. And the thing about that, the team would be good enough where he could load manage.
oh yeah, for sure. I will say I do like Jeremiah Fears who they selected. I do like the fact
Yeah.
that he's wearing number 0 and he's got Fears on the back. I like that's a cold jersey right there. That's a
Yeah, that
cold
is a
jersey
cold
right
joke.
there.
That's they said they call him Zero Fears. That's like a
Yeah,
cool nickname.
man. And then you have Brooklyn, and them having 5 draft picks, which I'm like, I'm kind of like, okay, cool. You have 5 draft picks, but um, just really kind of don't know what they're doing. It feels like they're going with a lot of guys that can handle the ball and all that stuff, especially with their 8th pick. Um, and then Phoenix, they traded for Mark Williams, and then they get Maluach from Duke, which I'm kind of like, well, why do you need 2 big men from Duke that don't have a lot of offensive skill sets that are still working on them and kind of like bring the same thing? So I don't really know, but I think considering that he probably could have gone a little bit earlier, I like it. And
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 then
then
it's
I'm
Aiden.
going
Was
to
Aiden
my
still
guy.
was Aiden? I want to say was Aiden involved in that trade or is Aiden still in? No, I'm tripping. Aiden
No,
is
Aiden is
on
with
Portland. I'm sleeping.
yeah,
Aiden
he's
on
with
Portland. I
Portland.
don't know. I'm running about
I,
three years later, right? 4 years later. But yeah.
well, well, I
I don't
mean,
know. I'm
Portland's
tripping
another
thinking about
team.
them.
They got a lot of centers too now. They got a lot of centers too. Like, what are you going to do with them? Because you got Klingon, you got Aiden, you got Robert Williams. There's somebody else there. The guy they drafted. So I was like, man, y'all going to run 4 centers out here? I was like,
Hey, might see
what are
that
y'all
one
going to
lineup that the Sun might see this lineup the Suns pulled that to the time with 4 bigs in the starting lineup. Had
Oh
Bobo
man.
at the small forward. That was
Oh man.
crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I
They
forgot
did that.
about
They did
that.
that for a game. They did that for a game one time. I think the whole starting five was bigs, or 4 of the starting 5 was bigs. I said that's ridiculous.
Talking about something we thought we never see. But no, then the 11th pick, the Grizzlies straightened up using one of those picks from Orlando. Listen, I remember thinking, we not a whole lot of draft prep, because I'm in here thinking my team isn't going to have a first round pick. Then they get
Yeah,
one
you get
from the
one.
Bane trade,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it's just like, uh, okay, like who are the top guys around like 16? And Cedric Coward was a guy that had been brought up. And Charles, I'm going to be honest, it felt like if we didn't take him here, it felt like you or San Antonio were going to snatch him up. And I was going to be like, man, there they go.
see, but you never know. See, those could be the diamonds in the rough because we don't see so many stars come out of being not lottery picks or second round picks.
That,
The most
it,
like the most famous one we know for a fact is Jokic.
yeah. And Giannis too. Giannis was
Yeah, but
he
Giannis,
was a fringe lottery guy, but
Giannis was a 15th
he,
pick. I know Kawhi Leonard
15th,
was a
16th, yeah.
yeah, Kawhi was a 15th pick. So I mean, that could be a diamond in the rough. He could be end up being the best guy at this class, better than Cooper. You just never know.
Well, listen, there's a couple reasons I'm excited. So he doesn't have a history with Jalen Wells, but they went to Washington State, so you
Yeah,
got them there. The thing that excites me most, Charles, is like this was brought up after the fact that they drafted him. It's like that. All right, this guy is 6'5", 6'6", and he can shoot the way he does with incredible length. That's incredibly hard to do. His wingspan is over 7'2". The wings that have been drafted in the first round with that type of wingspan, here's some notable names. You got Siakam, OG, Mikal Bridges, PJ Washington, Rui, Scotty Barnes, your guy J Dub, and then you got a couple recent ones, and Bilal Kuyabi, who went to Washington a couple years ago. My thing is like two things.
Great
One,
3-and-D guys with size. That's all I hear when
exactly.
I hear all them comparisons.
I think I think back to those trade rumors of the Grizzlies trying to go get OG and then try to get Mikal. Like, okay, they finally got their guy, but also a lot of those guys end up being pretty freaking good. Like you just take a look through that list: Jalen Williams, All Star; Scotty Barnes, All Star; PJ Washington, really good contributor; Mikal, not an All Star, but a guy that got traded for 5 draft picks. So OG really good. Siakam all-star. So it's just like there's a
Yeah, I can
really
say
good
all
trend.
star and an NBA champion. You better put some respect on his name.
And an NBA champion. Listen, man, I'm just I'm thinking too small right now. I'm not thinking that far ahead. Although I'm surprised I'm not. But no, man, I'm excited about this pick. Just from the early interviews since then, seems like a really good guy to bring in with this culture. I'm excited about him and Jalen. It seems like Jalen's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be three or playing the 3 or the 2, but I'm really excited to have those guys. And listen, it was just reading on the scouting reports. He's got a lot of back to the basket type of moves as a guard, which I think I saw in the same stat where it's like in his college years, he shot 72% from with his 2-point shots. 72% is not is difficult to do as a guard. As a big man, it's like it's not that's regular occurrence, but that's really difficult for a guard. So I think a couple things I've seen is just like him being a little bit more physical, which I think you can do that, getting that NBA body, but also the ball handling. They're saying like if he can get that going, watch out. So I'm really excited that, like I mentioned to you, for years they've been searching for a 3-and-D wing like this. It's felt like a decade and a half, probably because it
Hey,
has.
hey, at least
But
they got him. At least they got him. They got a big need that they
at
needed.
least at least they got him. They saw the guy they wanted, and they went up and got him. So no, I'm really happy about him coming into Memphis, and supposedly he's going to be wearing 23 this year. So make of that what you will. I don't know if that's going to mean anything or not, but hey, here's hoping it does. Because if it does, hey, we're going to have those Western Conference Finals matches we talked about. But no, man, just like there's some really good draft picks. San Antonio, who they got at 14, I like is the 3-and-D wing, and then like you mentioned that the guy you drafted at 15 from
Thomas
Georgetown.
Thomas Sorber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I say he reminds me of a slow down Giannis, showing the fact that he is dominant towards the paint area. He has a very good back to the basket game, but he also can shoot. So that's one thing. And being a 6'10", that's great size to be a backup big.
oh yeah,
Especially he's a great defender and shot blocker too. So basically, basically you got another guy to play behind Chet Hartenstein. Him and Jalen Williams
exactly.
probably him and Jay Will probably gonna be battling for minutes now. But it's just that's a really great pickup for us. Just in case we do have to deal with a situation where all our bigs are hurt in the season again, like last year. J Dub won't have to
Yeah,
be he won't be have to be called upon to just, have to play the center role when you have another big that can come off and go straight to work. When it's
yeah,
in a pick and roll or can space the floor. So that's to me I love that pickup. And
yeah,
far as the other guy, he has a weird name. This how I didn't get to see the draft or know anything about the picks that we had. Let me just go look.
uh, I will
Wow.
say the one add more thing with Sorber, I think because with how the contracts are setting up, with y'all, and I think because you can get out of the Hardenstein contract after next season, so I think that's
Uh,
Presti kind of already thinking ahead a little bit.
wow. Right as I open up Instagram and go look, you want to see another interesting tidbit I just ran across?
What's that?
So apparently the Knicks are reportedly in talks with Dawn Staley to become their new head coach. If hired, she would make the first history as the first woman to lead an NBA team. That is some news.
Oh
That is
man,
some news. Like that's actually some news.
yeah. I was about to say your screen. I can't see anymore.
Yeah, that's because I was going to the Thunder page just to look at
Oh,
the other pick that we got.
okay, okay.
I couldn't think of his name off rip. He has kind of a name that I'm not used to saying just yet. But
Uh, Let me find it.
yeah.
This is great podcasting work, by the
Yeah,
way.
it's Brooks Bornheiser.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Brooks
Yep.
Bornheiser. I don't know. I think he looks pretty tall standing next to Sorber. He looks like he's maybe a few inches shorter because Thomas Sorber is definitely 6'10", possibly 6'11". But yeah, how tall is this guy?
I think he's 6'5", but he's got a 6'11" wingspan.
Yeah, see, but he's a really good, really good shooter.
Yep.
A really good shooter, and that's gonna be big for us to have another player that can knock down the three when called upon. Because nothing is frustrating like watching your team. Nothing is frustrating as watching your team just miss so many wide open shots, especially in a real big series. I know the series a bit, but the finals, just watching them outside of Lou Dort, just watch so many players miss wide open threes that were knocked down all season and throughout the playoffs. It's gonna be fun to have a guy. Hey, you can't double Shea. You can't double date J Dub. You
Yep.
got to guard him. I believe
Oh yeah.
Prime Clay Thompson and Steph would have a field day on this team. Can you imagine doubling up to, and then you trying to sell in, but you can't. You cannot leave with Steph or Clay. Yeah, that is that is really that's really something to think about though, Rhino. Yeah, but Bornheim, I'm looking forward to first. Hopefully, he can make the roster because it's gonna be a
Yeah.
bloodbath in training camp. That's the main thing you gotta look at. And like we
Yeah.
got some guys just that got playing time and came up getting the championship. They're gonna be hungry not to lose their spot. So it's gonna be a bloodbath for competing. But I think some of the moves we're making is just to free up roster space. Like they got rid of Dylan Jones and got a pick back.
Yeah.
Got a pick back in this place. I think we got two more picks. So there's some more picks for future whatevers. but
Yeah. I think another. I will say, honestly, Utah did good because I like the Walter Clayton pick too. Go
see, I didn't.
from Florida. Um, Now I don't know what they're going to do about all their lead guards, but like this guy was great last year for Florida. Leading them to a championship the way they did. So I mean, honestly, Danny Ainge knocked it out the park, getting Ace Bailey at 5. You hit on that. That's huge. And then Walter Clayton, it feels like he's a guy that, we normally talk about. He's like taking the second round and he turns out to be like, well, why didn't you guys take him in the first round? And, he ends up being really good. It kind of feels like that with this pick at 18. But, no, I think, to go through the Grizzlies, their other two picks that they had, honestly, I think the Hornets had a pretty solid draft too, with the draft that they had, especially in round 2. But you take a look at what Memphis did. Javon Small from West Virginia. He is small. He is 6'1". Um, but
Small, being small while having the last name small. The irony.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it makes sense. I mean, listen, if your name is like if it's Lonzo Ball, hey, listen, you gotta play sports. I mean, It's like it doesn't matter what sport. Like your last name is Ball. Like go pick up a basketball, football, baseball. Go do something.
Yeah.
But I think he's probably going to be. He's going to definitely be a backup. I think I read he's going to be on a two-way. Um, he it does say he can shoot a little bit, so I do like that. Bring the ball up the court. Um, has some dynamic ability. But I will tell you what, I love the last pick we had, which we did this trade with Golden State, and we got Jemai Mashak from Tennessee. Now listen, I love it again because he's a Tennessee guy, so that's the
Look,
main
that's
big
first on the
reason why I
radar.
love it.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I just say I know you
Yeah.
love it, Tennessee guy. That's one of the main reasons you love y'all got him.
Yeah, and like, listen, I love the guys like Chaz Lanier. He got drafted in the later on, but no, this guy, I mentioned this before. This guy is a menace on defense. Like, and not to get too ahead of myself here, which now is the time I'm getting ahead of myself. But I'm feeling like he can be a Lou Dort type of guy for us, which makes me really excited. Where it's just like he's a maniac on defense, and I feel like he can develop a little bit of a shot. Like it, the offense wasn't all that great at Tennessee for him necessarily, but I think I read he knocked down, as far as corner threes, he was like about 40% or a little bit over. So I feel like the jump shot can be there, and if he develops that, then I think watch out because this guy is like I told you, he was a menace to SEC defenses that I'm sure they're glad they don't have to see him and game plan for him again. It's like he's y'all's problem in the NBA. Y'all deal with him, But
Yeah.
no man, I'm really excited about him. He's a big guy at 6'5", and Charles, I remember this specifically. I remember where I was at. Let's just say, I was with somebody. I was watching the Alabama Tennessee game on their phone, because they were a Tennessee fan, and I saw this dude make the game-winning buzzer beater shot against Alabama. Long 3-2. So I have that memory, but I'm excited for him because I think he has a real shot to make this roster and fits that type of defense mentality that I think the Grizzlies were definitely attacking in this draft, which you need
Grit
to.
and grind. Grit and grind.
Grit and grind.
He
He
sounds
needs
like
to
a
take
grit and
some lessons
grind
from
guy.
Tony Allen.
Tony Allen shows up to practice and challenges him to being a better defender.
I I don't even know how you do that. It sounds like this would be a whole lot more complicated than just like a 3-point shooting contest. Which I don't know if anybody wants to see that between these two.
Yeah, I think I'll pass just because Tony Allen is competing in the shooting contest. But
Yeah.
that's
Uh, yeah, I'll pass, but like y'all have fun. Y'all have fun with that. I'm not going to watch y'all, because that's going to be dead. But no, man, I'm excited about this pick. I'm excited about this draft. I mean, there's still a whole lot more to do. There's still more off-season moves to be done with Santi and getting Jaron his extension. Um, and trying to find some other big men up front. But I mean, I like it. It's a good start. The wing rotation. I like the moves that they made, but we'll see. But that was immediately my first thought with this guy. I thought like, man, we just potentially got our Lou Dort. I mean, you think about it, Dort wasn't even drafted, so I mean, you get a guy here at 59. I mean, it's a long shot, but man, if he develops that jump
hey, you
shot,
never
man,
know.
I'm
You never
excited.
know. That sleeper picks, like thinking back, it seemed like say after every 5 or 6 years after let's say we have an elite draft class or a very good draft class, everybody always looks back years after and being like, why do certain players get skipped when they develop and become just straight
Yeah.
ballers? And
Yep.
you look at it like teams now, Lou Dort went undrafted. Guarantee you, if teams know the potential that Lou Dort don't basically turn to one of the best 3 and D players for a team, for a championship team, how many teams would take him now?
Hmm.
Some
Every one of
teams
them.
would, any team, about all 30 teams in the NBA would love to have Lou Dort on that roster right now as starting shooting guard spot because he's reliable. You can't leave him open now. He's a 40% 3-point shooter. He proved it throughout the playoffs.
Hmm.
You can't leave him open, and then you're gonna want him on your best. You won't want him defending whoever that's not a big. You know what I mean? Like he's just that dominant.
Yeah. So I mean, listen. I like it. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. It's the 59th pick. But if it does, oh boy, is it a big time get? Is it big time? You hit the nail right there in, at
It,
pick
and then
59.
another thing your Grizzlies are doing, they are loading up on defensive players too. Y'all got
Yeah,
some great
big
defenders over
time.
there.
Big time. I mean, hey, listen, that's kind of what Grit and Grind was built on was those defensive teams with TA. So it's just like, hey, we need to get another TA back in the building, albeit a one that can shoot a little bit more and shoot a little bit better. I love my guy TA, but listen, you get a guy like that, I feel like that can really help, get that culture back where you got John Jaren leading things, but you got these guys that are 3 and D and wings that can get after it. So, nah,
Yeah,
man,
'cause
I like
I
it.
say I say nothing speaks more to disrespect than having a big guard you on the perimeter because you're not a shooter. That just takes it out. It's just like
Yeah,
that would burn me up. I would be like, oh, so this how y'all gonna treat me? Oh yeah. First off, I'm gonna shoot
yeah,
every shot I get with confidence. Two, in the off season, especially I'm working on the jump shot because y'all not gonna keep disrespecting me like this.
yeah.
And they tried it. Denver actually tried that though. Trying to hide Jokic on Lou Dort, and I was like, it backfired to a T. Especially, I want to say what's it, game five? No, it wasn't game five. It was, I want to say it was, which game it was where Lou Dort had some major big threes where we were down and we came back. It was
Oh,
game four against Denver. It was game four against Denver. We
yeah.
won in
Oh,
Denver.
yeah.
He had just some massive threes toward the end of the game, like very like massive. And it's like they were trying to hide Jokic on him. And Jokic was playing so far in the paint to help off, and it's like, and in my mind, I'm like, so Lou didn't shoot good this game. He wasn't shooting good this game, but that's like, y'all still taking a gamble, dude. It's not
Yeah.
2020 anymore. He can shoot the skin off the ball. Like I'm comfortable with Lou Dort taking threes because if teams didn't get the memo this year, they definitely probably got it after this finals, after this run this year. So now that's just another added. And they live with like, hey, we'll live with Lou Dort beating us. Yeah, until he's hitting five, six threes, like he's done a handful of times. I think his career high in the game is nine threes. He hit that against the Spurs. No, he hit that against the Nuggets, and we lost that game, which was surprising. But it was a back to back in Oklahoma. Ended up
No,
losing both of them games.
I
I
mean,
mean, well, we won the
think
first
back.
one.
Think
Yeah,
back. If you told 2020 Charles, hey, Lou Dort would one time in a game hit 9 threes, what would you have thought?
I'd be like, well, that's an anomaly, just like this game seven. But I'd be like, he got to develop a jump shot.
They're
Now,
like,
if you
hey, get that 2K stuff out of here. You
well,
turned off the
actually,
sliders.
I wouldn't be as put it like this, cause I'm all for one that I know players can develop, and when you got the
Yeah.
right
Oh,
uh
yeah.
coaches and stuff around them and development coaches and stuff, it's not surprising. Like if this was 2020 and you told me Lou Dort become a 40% 3-point shooter, even after seeing how he shot in the finals, even though he had that 1-7 3-pointer game, I look at it as like I'm not surprised because he just seems like a hard worker. And I know Oklahoma has the shooting coaches to help tweak it. I just wish Chip was actually there with Andre Roberson.
Mm,
Because
yeah.
what's sad now is Andre Roberson can actually shoot the ball now. Like, dude has become a great shooter, but it's like, man, Dre, you're 5 years too late. If you could shoot like this back on those Thunder teams, we would have won the championship already.
Hey, man. Hey,
It,
send one
what
of those shooting coaches over Memphis's way. So that way we can't get those West Finals, man.
what's so ironic about that? Shooting guard has always been the weakest part of any majority of Oklahoma City Thunder teams, especially the KD and Russ era. But it's like we got a shooting guard that was it's basically a Roberson that can now actually shoot.
Yeah.
But
It
that's
just
why I
makes
was
you
thinking,
wonder,
like,
doesn't
oh
it? It makes you
yeah,
wonder.
hell, would have loved to have Lou Dort back on those Thunder teams. He would have been amazing with KD and Russ, by the way.
Oh man. Oh man. You want to talk about dogs in the backcourt with Russ and Lou? Oh man.
And he would have been getting a lot of shots up playing alongside KD and Russ.
Oh, oh, definitely, for sure. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the draft, or is there anything else NBA wise? I mean, we do have free agency coming up here pretty soon,
Yeah,
and
I say we just gotta wait for just gotta wait for free agency. I'd be cool
Yeah,
with doing a pod after the whole free agency is done and we know where we're getting into at the start of the season.
and we're still on Giannis watch, so
Yeah,
we'll see.
although unless they want to go all in and get what they can back for Giannis, especially with Dame being down, I wouldn't be surprised. But like, I'm kind of at the notion that Giannis probably won't get traded yet, and that that's okay.
Yeah, I'm also throwing out the Giannis stream to Memphis. I'm throwing that out, unfortunately. It
Now,
was
if
fun
y'all
while
get
it lasted.
y'all get Giannis, I'm still gonna be like, that's a big pickup. But once again, is Jaren going to be gone, and do y'all have enough shoe to pair around these guys?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Bane getting traded, I think, really put the death nail into that.
Now, if y'all would have
Yeah,
kept Bane and then got Giannis, that's different right there.
yeah.
Because
It's totally different. It's totally different, man.
Bane is a proven
Um,
shooter, so like
yeah.
Giannis and Ja, just like Westbrook, gotta have shooting around them because they're not the
Oh
best
yeah.
shooters.
Oh yeah. All right, man. Yeah, we'll try to get back after free agency when we kind of know some more about what these teams are up to. See if any of our teams make some moves. I guarantee my team is not done, and they're going to be making some moves. We'll see if anything happens with Giannis. But nah, man, it's fun as always. And again, congrats, man. Congrats on your team winning. And I told you I messaged you this a week ago after
Yeah,
from recording this, but don't celebrate too hard.
Oklahoma, this is for you. Yeah,
Oh man. Yeah,
I get.
it's fun as always, man. It's fun as
Hell
always.
yeah, always.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, check us out where you guys get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. You guys know the drill. Check us out on YouTube, 573 Podcast. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and do all the YouTube things. Everybody, that'll do it for us. We got football previews coming up really soon. We're getting back in the swing of those things. I'm going to go ahead and spoil which division I'm doing, even though I've already recorded. It's the NFC East. We're going to be talking about the Commanders, Boys, Eagles, Giants. We're going to be talking about all those teams, everybody. So I have that pod ready and hope to have that out here pretty soon. So get ready, everybody. We're going to be doing those a little bit early. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll go ahead and spoil this, Charles. We're doing a Superman pod.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
right. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be in on that pod too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I'm ready. I'm so ready to see Superman though. So ready to see your Superman.
I'm ready to see it too, man. We're gonna be
Let's.
doing that one. It's been a minute since you and I have done a movie pod, so I'm looking forward to that. And we're gonna be doing that sometime after it's released. So be on the lookout for that, everybody. But with that being said, everybody, have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.